And Alicia needs to stay very still. Thank you. When you're ready.
Yeah, my presentation was meant to be done on a screen. There's no screen, so I've had to work with what we have. I chose to do a slightly different method of one long scroll, so I looked into the ideas of using Prezi, PowerPoint, JPEG, and I chose to do a long Illustrator file just by dragging the artboard out and having it as a constant scroll. So, yeah, let's go. So first of all, I did like the must-dos, I believe. So must-dos when you're going into a graphic interview is to have something handmade which you can pass over, which is worthwhile giving to your boss. But also take the care to have your portfolio digitally and on paper, because it's going to help you out either way. It's going to show that you can use digital and raw methods. And also, if you can, bind it into a package, because I think that the package idea comes across really strong, along with something which is handy to keep, like the cup, so it's going to be used every day. They're going to constantly be seeing your design, and that's already worth an interview in my eyes if you send that. Ways to interact with portfolio. Packaging designs help a lot because it looks amazing, it keeps everything uniform, and it allows the designer, you, to really create something outstanding in terms of your personal design. Leave items of your identity to reinforce yourself as a designer. So, same as what Alicia was saying about the tea bag and leaving herbs for your bosses, that's an excellent idea, because then you've done the hard work, so they feel like they might owe you an interview if you send that, or even bringing it to an interview. They've then got something which is worthwhile keeping, and I mean, if you get it across in a method like that, it's doing you huge favours, because that looks amazing. Once again, another amazing way how to show your work with clips and use of little bags and nice books, going that extra mile. Package portfolios. This was just a soap design I saw, but I just thought, you know, it works. It really does work, and it's small. So, as you say, like everybody brings a carry portfolio A3 most of the time. So, I think if you were to walk in and just whip something out your pocket and give to an interviewer, they'd really be outstanded by that. So. And useful items as well, so I really like this design. Not a massive fan on the artwork itself, but the actual pencils, having green, red and blue, a rubber, a pencil sharpener, and a little notebook by the looks of it there, all seems to be really, really good identity. But other ideas are also calendars, mouse mats, cups, stationery, and anything really handmade which you can add to your digital portfolio. Putting everything in a wooden box, and this painting idea I thought was amazing. So it's got this introduction to him and little stuff like that. Look really cool. Stay digital, it's the future. Digital is the future, and it's, you know, there's no which what about it. We're not going backwards, and if we are, we're doing it very much on purpose for that feel. But raw methods can work amazing mixed in with digital, definitely. Smart objects can be a nice method of showcasing work, although it could come across a little bit maybe pretentious if you had everything mocked up in iMac pictures. You know, you wouldn't do that, but just to show that you can, because I know that it's quite a new thing, and a lot of graphic designers don't know how to use Photoshop that well. They don't know how to use smart objects amazingly yet. So a couple of them could be really effective. Computer Arts magazine as well is an amazing blog and magazine to keep up to date with interview techniques from the best professionals. Simple but effective, but also not everything looks amazing in a smart object, so it could, full bleed some images, frame some stuff, do lots of different versions of layout. Don't just turn up with all of your best pieces in smart objects, which are all iPhone 5S's or whatever. There's ways to do it which works really well. Presentation, PowerPoint, video, Prezi, JPEG are all safe options, or showing Mac screen on a scroll. I actually know an ex-teacher who said that Prezi worked really well, and it was almost interactive, so on a whiteboard you could have different windows going off to different parts. So she was doing her lesson plans on Prezi and getting the students to be involved with it, and I think that could really work for graphic interviews on an iPad or something, to sort of pass over to the potential employer and sort of have a play, like a game, because everyone likes doing stuff, and bringing that interaction between you, your work and the client is what's going to get you that design job you want. But she said it worked really well. And designing well and carrying your own identity, so that's thinking about stuff like stock, thinking about things like your fonts and your paper you're going to use. So because it's, we don't have to use paper. We can use leather, we can use old recycled paper, we can use double prints, old paper, recycled stuff. Just think about it. It's all about actually thinking about it, because if we all turned up with, as I said again, with the smart objects all dropped in there, all on an iPhone, and it was all on white paper, it would be very boring. Use different stocks, show that you have a brain for design and that you know what you're doing in terms of print. Because we're very digital, print often gets left behind with some designers these days. It's good to understand it. Stock and typography. Just think about the typography, because typography is everything, like everything visual. You've got your true type fonts which work the best between everything. You should really always use a true type font rather than open. Is it an open font?
Open type?
Open type font, that's it. Because there's problems between Mac and Windows, between open, true is the best. Communication and how to address creativity. Well, that's what I was saying about the interaction between you and the employer. You've got to do something like Alessio's box. You can show a box. It's not really been done before, has been done, but if you execute it in a really good way, then you're going to definitely, it goes higher than just showing a piece of paper. And I know when I went for my interview, I took a poster and a rolled up poster tube and gave that to him, and that's pretty much what got me the intern, rather than I didn't even show my portfolio in the case, because you already know what's inside it. It's like this holding two things is sort of a bit like, oh, they've gone the extra mile to sort of do something. And inside that was just my CV rolled up with one page of work, and the one page of work wasn't any final designs which have been picked by clients. They're all pieces which I worked on or added bits to suit for a job interview. So, because some pieces we all design don't suit, to be sent to potential clients. So you will have to drag them into Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, and have a little play and just make a concept board. But don't use all of your designs, because then you're giving everything, and you're not being humble in the fact of when you turn up, you're going to be like, well, there's everything, you know, that's me. So, and thank you. Any questions?
Any questions? So you seem to have a lot of tips. You'd make a great teacher. What's your main direction then? What are these things that apply to you the most?
Well, apply to us is obviously stock and typography matters a lot, but coming across and getting your work to be interactive between your potential client, because nobody wants to receive a boring email. No one wants to receive a terrible bit of design work. They want to really see that you've gone to town in understanding every part of what you're sending them. So whether it be within the types, probably type and stock are the easiest ones to do it with, because it's obvious, you use a bit of good stock and people like it. Use nice type, it shows that you've gone and found nice type. So I think they're the most important things, definitely.
When you say interaction,
doing stuff. So the poster idea, having it rolled up, I'm not going to open up, but I'm going to pass it to them. They're going to do it while we're talking. Amazing idea I saw as well was the business cards being dipped in the ink. So it's interactive, you could have your inks in a little jar and a little palette and just, get going while you're talking, because as Evan said, work with your hands in an interview, it's kind of awkward, you might feel a little bit.
If I had to put you on the spot and say, right, what kind of stock, what kind of fonts, and what kind of object is Matt Brogan?
Sans serif fonts, because they're the easiest to read, they're the most legible, they're being used for a lot of things, and most legibility is the most is powerful enough, because if you have some crazy font which doesn't really understand you, and you don't understand it, and you've just gone into Illustrator and clicked that, and that looks nice in my name, and it's not you need to. So for me personally, sans serif fonts, lots of negative space to show that you understand design, show that you understand bleed marks and basic rules of InDesign sort of thing. So and softwares obviously.
And in terms of like objects and stock, what's Matt Brogan?
I'd say recycled paper, so like the grey paper there is really nice. I would never print on plain white paper a texture that looks recycled, because that's doing completely the opposite as what you as a designer should be doing. You should be really using the real stock, not. So recycled paper, brown colours, light colours, not too heavy. And that's pretty much me. In terms of objects though,
I'm having loads of quite crazy ideas. I don't know if do you mind me just chucking them out there? I like I'm going to put this up to the camera because I don't know if they've seen it. Think about your type, and you kind of when you describe and discuss things, it's very open. Like you don't mind where the conversation seems to go, and I can just see you putting up large A1 posters of questions up where you're having the interview. Do you know what I mean? As you're talking about stuff. And the answers aren't on there, but the questions are there, and they're giving you opportunity to ramble on and blah blah blah, and keep them kind of entertained. Is that the kind of thing that you're talking about, like being really out there?
being really out there and trying to get a better understanding of design through that could be possible. But I mean,
do you think you'll ever do the same thing twice?
we all do the same thing twice. We all open Illustrator every single day.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same presentation twice, or use the same object, or do you think you'll always be making something new?
I like making stuff new. I find it hard to go back and do something again because it's been done. I think I've changed my identity colours about 12 times in this past 6 months, so I think that already goes to show I can't really make up my mind.
Is there a downside to that?
Definitely, because you feel
what
like
is it?
you've got to do too much. You feel like you're running when you should be jogging. You feel like you're doing too much and it should be more refined. And you should just spend time to go and research stuff what works.
Anything you guys want to add to that?
I think like that. Think about your type thing. It's a question which has multiple meanings. Like type is in typography, type is in type of person, type is in something they like. So it's almost like you're asking multiple questions, and if you held that up in an interview, you could be saying, "What's your type?" As in, what's your type of person you hire?
Definitely.
And I think that kind of
sounds like a title of a book, doesn't it? What's your type?
It's open to interpretation, which I think is good, because it means that there'll be a lot to talk about, and you open yourself to any questions and curiosity, which I think is always helpful, because you don't want to appear straightforward in front of a
that's it. You don't want to appear like you know everything.
Yeah, you don't want to be predictable.
I think I'd be tempted to take a big fat marker pen and write on it, answer the question for them there and then, when you got your nice big Helvetica or Futura or whatever, and then some nice magenta, over the top, like you've just done on your presentation, but with there and then for them. Could be quite nice. Anything else?
What is your initial idea for your portfolio? Like, how would it be presented?
Well, I thought that. Well, I think that it's a massive must-do to first of all understand that you have to, when you turn up to the interview, you must show digital and real. So it's getting them across in the right way. So you've got to have like your iPad and you've got to have your book. But I personally wouldn't do a carry folder anymore, because I think that that's so dated, and I think it's so as I said when I went for my last interview, didn't even look at it. It's almost like they see the black Runley Art carry folder and they already know what's in it. They already know what's going to be inside it. But the little box, which is this big, what says Matt Brogan Design Essentials, is something someone's thought about. They've gone out and they've done product design to suit the interactive abilities of your design. So I think that's why the portfolio carry things are out and gone.
Anything else? We'll wrap up. Thanks ever so much, Matt.